Hi, this is Odeean here. Today I'm having a look at Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H.Monsterarts Kiryu. I think Kiryu is the first appearance from the Millennium series that we've seen so far, and the box is a little bit of a departure from other Monsterarts boxes. It does have the nice window here. You can see I've already pulled the figure out, but it's got a lot more window than some of the other guys. So I'm going to grab... you can see my Mogura. The style of the box is a little bit different. Up until now we've had straight out windows. This guy is more kind of more stylistic. It's a slash through the cardboard. Looking up here, see what I mean? Still looks really great though. Let's get it out of the box, or anyway, let me show you what it looks like out of the box so we can have a better look. Here we have Kiryu out of the box, and he looks fantastic. So I have to admit, I'm a big fanboy of the design of Kiryu, and I love the movies that this character appears in. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS, I believe. It's been a while since I watched them, but I really enjoyed those movies. And I've reviewed a couple of others on my channel, which I'll show in comparisons a little bit later on. But this toy is very true to the source material, and that's one big reason why I really like it. The balance is very good. You can see here that he's standing up. He's not leaning on the tail at all. The tail is very poseable. I mean, all kinds of possibilities with this. Now, in the box, it came with a piece of plastic spiraled around between each segment so that there was no way, I guess, the paint is going to be wrecked or just the plastic surface scratched. It took a little bit of winding to get that off, so I'm hoping that it's not going to get scratched up in how I use it. And it hasn't happened so far. It's got a very satiny, even finish over the whole toy, very shiny. Much like the big DX that I've got, which I'll show later. Totally different from the shiny Chugoken version that I have, but this is probably the best way for him to look. To help with that balance, there is actually a bit of die cast in the figure. So down here on the foot, this section under here feels cold. I think it's metal, and the actual pivot on the ankle can sort of extend out like that, and there's a metal arm on the inside of the leg. I'm not sure how high the metal goes. It may have a metal skeleton going up the leg all the way up here, but it's just there's no way for you to see it. It's not like a regular monster art where you can just pop off the leg and see what's going on the inside. Now the knee pad feels like plastic, and these bits on the inside that look like rubber also feel like plastic. So there's no actual rubber going on the undersuit, but the sculpt and sheen just give it a really good rubber look regardless. For poseability, he's got quite a few joints, but they are reasonably limited. So you can see his neck there can go up and down, side to side, but not very far. Head can go up and down a bit too. The jaw opens and closes. His arm can go the whole way around. Double jointed elbow, but still pretty much 90 degrees. A little bit of in and out at the hip. He's got a bit of a Y-shaped plane of rotation at the hip here. And you can see this little cord. As you pull, the cord goes out like a vacuum cleaner cord. As long as you feed it back in, it's not in any real danger of kinking and tearing off. On the chest, we have the panels that open up to reveal the Absolute Zero cannon. That's pretty cool. I wonder if later on down the track we'll get a triple Maser version. I'm a bit surprised actually that we didn't get a plate to plug in to give us the Maser version on this guy, but why would Bandai throw away such an opportunity? So this plate is just one square piece that sort of looks like it's glued on, so I would be very surprised if we don't get a version of this that has the alternate chest with alternate armor. One little thing that I find really quite cool is movable nozzles for his thrusters at the back. So that's something I've never seen on any of my previous toys. this like attention to detail. They're not ball joints, although they're spherical at the joint. They're just little pin joints that swing, but they also rotate, so you do get effectively the range of motion of a ball joint on that. And to go along with those thrusters, we get this awesome feature, which is in the movie, more thrusters in the side of the legs. Look at that. None of my other figures have this, so Monsterarts have really... Oh, that extends down too, awesome. Monsterarts have really sort of held up their end of the game by providing something that is probably the best version available. And the only way this could be better is if it was 30 centimeters tall, but then it wouldn't be Monsterarts. So I'm really loving this. It's really, really awesome. Look at that. And all this culminates in some fantastically awesome poseability. Check out that. Balanced on one foot. His tail can go any which way you want. The only thing that is a little bit lacking is that you don't get much outward swing. So if you wanted his foot to be going up in a kick, it's not something that he can achieve. I'm not sure that the suit could ever achieve a sideways kick anyway. One thing I do like is that because of the extra swing bar in the foot, he can be pushing forward like that. So you can get these really good walking poses where he's kind of pushing his way forward. And that ankle articulation is more, I think, than any other Monsterarts that I've got so far. One part of his body that's a little bit weird are these pipes, the side detailing here. So moving around, you can see that one of his spines is attached to it. This whole section is free floating. Nothing holding it on, just moves around the centerpiece of the body. To the touch, it feels a little bit bad because of the looseness, makes a little bit of a rattle sound, but on the shelf, when you're not moving it, you would never know. It looks really good, nothing wrong with the look, just feels a little bit odd because not many figures have free floating parts like that. For accessories, there are quite a few accessories. We're going to start at the top where the head is. So I've got the one that I like on best, the set of eyes I like, which has little lines behind the see-through plastic. If you don't like that, you can pull off that set and you can put on this set, which is almost exactly the same. As far as I can tell, the only difference is that there are no lines behind the eye, just flat, plain yellow. If you want him to go berserk and have his true spirit come through, you can put on the red eyes from when he starts to destroy the whole place. When Godzilla roars and unleashes the spirit of Kiryu inside this Mechagodzilla, his eyes turn red like that. And he just goes berserk until he runs out of power. That was a fantastic scene. Kiryu has his Armour Pack that comes with him, but before we can put that on, we need to pop out this little plug in the back of the elbow. Now this is minuscule, a minuscule little piece of plastic, and if you don't very carefully keep this, it will get lost. I'm surprised I haven't lost it actually. Flew off once in my lounge room and I had to get a torch looking in the cracks on the floor to find this. Anyway, once those are off, we also have to pull off this little spike and the mirrored one on the other side and the one at the back of the neck, revealing these peg holes. Into the peg holes we're going to slot the little tabs, these little pegs rather, on the armor, and it very easily goes in. Just got to find the right spot, and there we go, pegged on. Not ultra secure, but secure enough. After that, we want to grab these little bits of armor. Now in the box they come like this. I normally want the blade to be displayed on it, so I just put it in like that. And these are going to tab right in to the side of the arm, and then we can just get the plug and stick it in the hole that we removed the little blank from before. So there's one side. Now I'm going to do the other side. Putting this one in. Dum, da, da, plug that in. Ready for action. There is no way anyone could tell me that that doesn't look amazing. Really good. The detail is spot on for the show. Here's where the rockets shoot out of the side. Very, very nice. That looks phenomenal. I love it. It's pretty accurate. There's little parts where they shoot rockets out of the sides. I seem to remember some kind of paneling being ridged on the side of here. I'll have to look that up later on, but it just looks great. Look at that. I love it. I love the way Kiryu looks. So now what I'm going to do is get some of the other versions of this figure that I've got and just show a comparison between this guy and the other ones you could choose. So here's my Chugoken version, and what number was that? GD45M, the really shiny chromed looking one. Now there's a different version of the Chugoken that you can get that I think has a surface which is more silver, like this S.H.Monsterarts, but at the time I really liked this, and I still do really like it because it's solid metal down here, like real metal, and over the rest of the figure chromed. It's just so shiny, it's impressive to look at. But even though I was so happy with that at the time and still love it, when I look at it next to the S.H.Monsterarts, I can see where the proportions are wrong. For example, at the side of the hips here, his thighs are just too far out. He looks a little bit weird and not show accurate. His knees are just a little bit too big and they're bent forward just a little bit too much. His hands are a bit oversized compared to the rest of the figure. So this is definitely still worth getting, and it's a really beautiful piece. But just for pure show accuracy, the S.H.Monsterarts beats it in that respect. Now, if I had to pick one or the other, I would probably still keep my Chugoken, and that's just because the metal feels really nice in the hand. But it does have a number of flaws, like for example, you just saw this little bit fall off. There are a number of pieces in the tail here which have a tendency to just fall off. Actually, they've already fallen off. They're not even in the video. They normally go up here. They've fallen off in the box. The backpack isn't very stable in the way it's connected. So a lot of issues that arise from this being an older figure, but something about the metal that just wins me over. One other thing that this Chugoken's got is clicky joints. And there is also ratchet here, but you can't hear it as well. I don't know about other collectors, but I like clicky joints. And this guy doesn't have any clicky joints. He's got good joints, but just not clicky. So that's another little part where he loses out. Also, this happens all the time. The attachment point on the arm is too loose. So both have their pros and cons, and both are really good figures that you should have. S.H.Monsterarts is actually cheaper than this guy too, which is another pro for the Monster Art. The next comparison is with S.H.Monsterarts Mogura. And this is also a very good figure. I mean, everything I'm showing today is a good figure. There's no duds here. And with this guy, the paint scheme is much closer to the Kiryu. And I'm not even sure if these guys have paint. Is this paint, or is it just the way that the plastic's made? I don't know, and I'm not willing to take a screwdriver to their showing parts to find out by giving it a good scratch. So I guess, yeah, there's no parts here that I want to scratch to test that on. But he looks fantastic, and I definitely think that anyone who can afford it should get both of these. I know they're not the same character, but, you know, there's not that many robots in the Monsterarts series. Now, I don't have the 90s, the Heisei period Mechagodzilla. I don't like that figure, the way it looks. If I see it dirt cheap one day, I may pick it up, but I don't have it at this stage. And here's the comparison with the Big Daddy, the DX battery-operated Kiryu. Let's pull back a bit and have a look. Detach my camera. He's like double the size. I haven't had this DX out of the box for a long time, and one thing I noticed now that I have him out, that compared to the Monsterarts, he looks a little bit gummy. Like, don't get me wrong, I do really like this, but the detail is a bit soft, if you know what I mean. The defining lines aren't as well done, and it just makes you realize how good Monsterarts really are. Like, when I first got this, in my mind I was comparing him to vinyls. So compared to vinyls, it seemed really good. But now Monsterarts have kind of set the bar. Everything else pales in comparison. I just wish that I could afford the X Plus Kiryu, which is about the same size as this guy, because I'm betting that that guy would be much more crisp, but it's a little bit out of my range at this point. And finally, every Kiryu needs a Godzilla to fight, and this is the closest thing that we've got to an opponent for him at the moment. Later on, I think at the beginning of next year, we're getting Godzilla 2000. I've got it ordered. I can't wait to get it. I hope he's big enough. The Godzilla 2000, though, isn't really the Godzilla that faces off against Kiryu. He looks very different, and what I've seen from the sculpt, he looks very different from the Godzilla that's in the movie with this Mechagodzilla. So I really hope that we do get a Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla figure, and the 2000's fine, but it's not what I ultimately want to end up with. But for now, this standard Heisei period Godzilla is enough for me. My final thoughts. Definitely a buy, almost a must-have. I know that must seem weird, seeing as how I've got all these guys standing here. How come I must have another one? But it's just because in this scale, he's probably the best one. If you have more money, maybe pick up the X Plus, because that's probably going to look fantastic. But the detail, I don't think anyone's going to beat the detail on this. If I have anything negative to say, it's just that these continuously fall off, and the backpack has a tendency to pop off as well. A little bit annoying, because this could so easily have been avoided just by a different, slightly longer peg. The price is a little bit steep, but I think that the reason for that is probably because of the inclusion of die-cast parts, and maybe it's a little bit more involved when we're dealing with hard plastic instead of the softer plastics that the kaiju figures have. Now, I think that the total I paid for this shipped was about $100, which is not bad. At BBTS, they were trying to sell it for about $95, and I had it on order there, but I saw a Japanese guy selling it sub 100, and then the EMS pushed it just a little bit over 100, so I snapped it up at that price, which I think is probably pretty good. So I'm pretty happy to have it, and I can highly recommend it. This has been my video review for S.H.Monsterarts Kiryu. I'm odeean. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this video has been a lot clearer than previous videos. To anyone who's still watching after my kind of end here, I just want to say that I've changed phones. So I was using an HTC One X for a long time. I really loved that phone. It just felt so beautiful in my hand. But sadly, time moves on. Need something a bit more powerful with a bit more grunt. I bought a Samsung Galaxy Note 3, a nice white one. And although the camera app and software on that phone, Galaxy Note 3, to me are absolute pieces of shit, once you root the thing and get rid of the Samsung and put on various other apps, it can really perform quite well. So this is using the app A Better Camera. Literally, A Better Camera is the name of the app, and it seems to be maintaining its focus pretty well. So if you are interested in that app, go and check it out. It seems to make videos quite nicely. Anyway, I'm odeean. Thanks for watching again.